welcome to Scrappin with Sheri and project recipe number 13. Now, it's interesting to me that this project recipe is done with all springy stuff, and we are approaching spring right now in Alabama particularly, but I'm going to be doing some Christmas pages today. And as you look at my colors here, you may not necessarily think Christmas pages, but I'm going to tell you these colors came about because of this old sticker sheet. This was from Creative Memories many years ago, and I inherited this when we were cleaning out some things at my mother-in-law's house, and I really liked the fact that it had the nativity portions on it, and I wanted to use this for some pictures of some things that happened at our church during Christmas. So I chose the green, the blue, and the goldy color based on these stickers, just so you understand how this all came to play out. So when I look at this sketch, or this recipe, and I look at what I have, this blue was the very best match that I could find. But I don't have a lot of it. I don't have a full sheet. So I felt like it would be perfect for this cut right here. I'm using the golds as my background. And when I look at the rest of it, I think this green paper is really going to be perfect for these pieces right here. This is more borders and then photo mats. There are some triangles here I want to do, but I'm not sure exactly what colors I'll use for that yet. So we're going to set our backgrounds aside. That's the gold. They did theirs on canary cardstock, so not too far removed on that. Let's go ahead and cut this blue because I know there's only one cut on it. And they cut it at 4 3/4. So I knew I wanted to use this scrap. Didn't know exactly where, but it works perfectly because that's all I need of that piece of paper. So don't think you have to get a full 12 by 12 sheet every time you're making cuts for these recipes. Sometimes your scraps are going to work perfectly. And if you're like me and you don't do all the mats, you can use a lot of different things. Now, when I was looking, these little triangles right here are actually 3 by 3 squares, and they're cut triangularly. When I look, this is going to be my blue, but I may want to throw in a little more of the blue color. So maybe I want to make one of the triangles over here in this blue color, in this, to carry it across. And when I'm looking, those squares are 3 by 3. Well, I don't quite have a 3 by 3. I have, let's see, a 2 5/8. So let's cut 2 5/8. Let's just use what we've got and make us a couple of little triangles out of that. Now remember, to make my triangles, I just line my points up on my cutting guide. Now if you're looking really closely, you're seeing it's not on this black line. It's just a touch over because that's where mine is cutting on this particular mat. And you have to make a couple of cuts before you realize that. But now I've got a couple of triangles too if I want to use those. And still a little scrap of the blue. Now for my green, this green was not out of a Christmas pack. This actually came out of a gnome pack that was an incentive. And it says punch border, and then we're going to cut it. Well, I have already pre-cut my borders and there's something else. So let's look at what else we need here. We need this, oh, no, that's not what I wanted to do with that. Back up, we're going back over to here. Because what I need, let's see, the 4.5 by 12D is going to be this piece right here. That's what confused me because theirs is green. Then we've got a 4.5 by 7 1/4 here, and then a 4 1/4 by 4 3/4 there. That's what I'm hoping to get out of this piece. So let's cut our 4.5 by 12. Man, it gets confusing sometimes, doesn't it? Then we need another 4.5. And this one, oh, leaves a scrap. This one we're going to cut this direction at 7 1/4. And then it does show us that this one is going to be 4 1/4 by 4 3/4. So there's, let's see. I'm trying to figure out which is which. This is my 4 3/4. So I need to cut it down to 4 1/4 this direction. And you can tell that on the sketch because there's this little grayish shaded area that just shows that's something you're not using. All right. So I think we have the majority of our cuts. Let's lay this down. Oh, I didn't cut any more little triangles, but we'll see about those. We may or may not need them anyway. So let me pull this to the side. Let's lay our backgrounds out first. These came from the Elegant Moments Advisor Exclusive Paper Pack. I used this for a crop I did in January and just really liked it. I thought it was a really pretty color choice. Had some really pretty pieces left over from that I decided that I would just pull out and use myself. So this is going right up against the edge. I love that blue. I just hate I didn't have more of it. And I also hate the fact that they just didn't use more of that one piece. That's why I went ahead and made a triangle using that blue. All right, so we've got this. Now, the only other things that I'm seeing here, there's another border here that will come off of this piece. I'm going to scoop this triangle down here. And there's another triangle here that I may or may not put on. But let me pull my borders. Because this was an event at church and it was a musical event, I decided I would use my music notes on this. And I didn't have a ton of pictures. So we're laying the 2 borders down. Now this border is going to have to be trimmed because part of it's going to go up here, but part of it's going to go down below. And we cut this at 4 3/4, so we need to cut the border at 4 3/4. Now, you see I flipped that over because I don't want my music notes to be backwards when I put them on. 4 3/4 is here. This is also a border punch that goes above and below the little lines here, so I can't just push it up to the top. I have to make sure where I've lined it up. But I wanted to make sure my music notes are going the correct direction. So that's where we are on that. I did cut those out of navy. I felt like that was a good color choice. And if I do any extra matting, it's probably going to be in navy on this page. Now, the only other thing that I'm lacking, I really do like the little triangles. So maybe we need to come back with the navy and cut a couple of those. Well, we would only need one more square, and it would be a 3 by 3. Oh, can't do that. You know, I just can't cut all that length off just for a 3-inch. I'm going to make this a 3-inch square. And then I just half it on the diagonal. Just like we did before. Remember to look at where your cutting line is, not necessarily the black lines always. And then I'm going to actually set that one inside that because that's going to draw it away from this blue just a little bit, and that's what I wanted. I'll do the same thing over here. Now, theirs were the same size initially, so they could do that a little bit differently than I did. All right, so we've got a basic layout here. And what I need to do now is go back and add my photos and see where we are. So I told you this was from some things that we had at church during Christmas time. That's the big nativity that is always out in our entrance area. And that's part of the reason, well, that has a little bit to do with why I chose the green. There's some green here, but the greenery here in the gifts. This was a group of, my ladies group, my small group that got together right before Christmas at one of the other ladies' houses. And then our children were singing. And then I've got our choir Sunday. You actually see my husband there and me over here in the choir performance. And then I went ahead and pulled this. For unto us a child is born, unto us a son is given. I had seen that on the internet and I just thought that was pretty. And I think I'm going to add it right up here and then do some journaling here about what all those events were. So the only thing left to do is to stick all of this down. And when I'm looking at my sketch, I'm seeing it's pretty true to the sketch, even though I didn't cut all the pieces and parts exactly the same way. So when I start sticking, I'm going to start from the bottom to make sure that I leave plenty of room for these pictures. Then I'm going to stick the mats and the side part. So we're going to speed this up so you can just see how it ends up at the end. Attention, you notice that I moved this way over when I started putting that down. That's because I was trying to keep in mind that I've got these stickers. This was the reason I chose the colors I did. So I wanted to be sure I left room for those stickers. Now I do need to use my repositionable tape to add these borders. So I'm going to grab that. And my thought process on this, on the recipe, they had double borders. Since I didn't do double borders, I'm just going to center this in the middle somewhat. And I think it's very striking against that background. Now again, I used navy for that. It's not black. Whoa, wrong tape. Oh, y'all know I hate it when I do that. So I felt like the navy was a good contrast. Even though the pictures do have a lot of black in them, I really wanted to go with the navy on that instead. Let's do it with the right tape now. And you can tell my navy is a little bit long here. It's going over the edge. So I'm going to have to be very mindful of that and cut it off. Navy is that one color, for whatever reason, is always too long. That's so odd to me. And I'm going to tuck that up underneath that. All right, so we've got all of those things done. I don't know about you, but that looks real crooked to me. Looks like the notes are going uphill. And I'll tell you, in this particular singing event, a lot of our notes went way uphill. All right. And then I've got one more set of the music notes using the correct tape to put it down. And that'll go down here at the bottom. And I do like the way that navy shows up against this blue too. So that was a good color choice. All right, let's go back to our recipe. Now, I didn't add my triangle here, mainly because I'm still not sure what I'm going to do with stickers. But I did love the triangle over here. I felt like it needed some blue to go over here. And I did cut this to be a journaling box. And I may or may not use it as such. I haven't decided yet. I do want to tell what these events were, though. But let's look at the recipe. The recipe is showing some stickers here on that triangle, and then a good many stickers down here around the journaling area, but not a lot of other. So we're going to have to make this work in our plan. And part of what I was looking at, and a large part of the reason I didn't add any red in my decor, is because they made these pink. I don't love the pink, but I think it's going to work okay. Now, when I'm looking at that, because all of my photos are matted on white, I think this matted on white would be really pretty as well. So let me grab some white. Now, I went ahead and matted that off camera. It's a little bit bigger than my photos. And I'm almost thinking now, for aesthetic purposes, maybe I want to slide this more this direction and put that in the middle of all of that. And I like that. You can tell where I moved my photo. There's a little bit of white there. It's not enough to cause me grief and distress. So I'm all right with that. And I'm going to just kind of center this top and bottom and then side to side between those two photos. I love it that it puts this nativity near this nativity as well. Now, I also really, really, really like this blue one. And I want to figure out where we might be able to use that. I could use it on this journaling box. I could scoop that up and slide this down here. Oh yeah, let's do that. And let's mat this on white as well. Almost, not quite. We'll just make this an extra part of that border down there at the bottom with the music notes. I'm going to use my photo trimmer for this, just to give me a little bit of precision cut right there. I do love that we've got this lip on the bottom of this now. It helps me when I'm trying to cut these little bitty things very precisely. So basically what we've done is made these larger stickers into mini pictures, I guess. And then we're just adding them on as we did our photos. That's part of the reason I felt like they needed to be matted in the white. And what about now if we just go ahead and mat that in that green, and then I can put a white box in here. Actually, what I'll do is cut this mat down to fit in that extra space. Then I'll do my journaling on white and mat it right in between those pieces. Yay, we're getting it. And I'm really liking the look of this, although these are very non-traditional Christmas colors in my world. I think it's turning out really pretty. And because we do have some extra space there, I think I am going to go back and add that triangle in, just to give me another touch of that blue. And I'm just centering it top to bottom. Now remember, I didn't cut my triangles the same size because I was using scraps to get that triangle done. And I can add that there. So let's see if there are any other embellishments, any other stickers on this I want to use. I don't love the pinks. I really like this, but I'm having a hard time figuring out exactly what that is. So I don't feel like I'll use it. The candles might be pretty, but I kind of lose them there. And this side is kind of heavy on embellishments anyway. I could add the candles here or here, matted in white, and then do this little circle over here. Yeah, that's what we're gonna do. I just keep adding and adding, don't you love it? And for this little circle, I'm just gonna use my old circle punch from old creative memories. This one is a lot harder to punch. That gives me the perfect size little mat for that. Do you ever build a whole layout around some decoration you find that you've decided you want to use? That's basically how this whole layout has come about, is just having these old stickers and seeing the nativity stickers on there that I felt would be perfect with our church's celebration of Christmas. Gotta love it when it works for you. Now I am going to go ahead and stick my journaling box down right here. And again, I'm going to I'm going to write on white. And then I'll stick it onto this journaling box. I don't typically like to write on colors, and I don't typically like to write on a pattern. And I'm going to treat this as an embellishment and just pop it up with foam squares and add it right there on that corner, just kind of overlapping everything. And then we'll bring these candles, I think I'm going to bring them right into here. And again, I'm going to foam square that. Only needs one. And I think I'm going to leave it down on the gold. I was thinking I would overlap the green, but I like the look of it with just a little gold rim showing around that. All right. How do you like it? That's project recipe number 13. All I have left to do is my journaling here. And I'll probably add the names of the ladies right below that. But other than that, this layout is complete. So, until I see you next time, happy scrapping.